హైదరాబాద్ రియల్ రంగం రానున్న రోజుల్లో గణనీయంగా అభివృద్ధి చెందుతుందని, రానున్న రోజుల్లో అనేక బడా నిర్మాణ దిగ్గజ సంస్థలు నగరంలోకి అడుగుపెట్టే అవకాశం ఉందని అంటున్నారు అన్రాక్ గ్రూప్ చైర్మన్ అనుజ్ పురి గారు. మరి ఆయన భాగ్యనగరానికి విచ్చేసిన సందర్భంగా రియల్ ఎస్టేట్ గురువుకి ఇచ్చిన ప్రత్యేక ఇంటర్వ్యూ ఇప్పుడు చూసేద్దాం.
Hello everyone. Today we have a big man of the Indian real estate industry in our Paulomi Estates Real Estate Guru show. It's none other than Mr. Anuj Puri, Anarock chairman. Sir, welcome to our Real Estate Guru show, sir. After Mumbai, skyscrapers are increasing in Hyderabad. To the general understanding of the viewers, who are the most buyers in the skyscrapers in Mumbai as well as in Hyderabad?
I think the fundamentals remain the same across the cities. If you look at it, from the various stakeholders, whether it is the developers, those developers, who had better governance, who had financial discipline, who had focus on delivery, who had focus on their clients, have done well across each of these, markets and zones. If you were to look at the occupier profile, it is very similar. It is a mixture of multinationals, mixture of domestic. It's not only IT, it is now moving on to global capability centers and a lot of the front office in India that you're seeing many of the Indian companies continuing to expand. So profile of occupiers is the same. And likewise, the profile of the home buyer, is about the same. The only aberration I would say is largely Bombay and to some extent Gurgaon, where the high-end luxury residential, if you were to move away from the office, does exceptionally well. So, for example, in Bombay, apartments that sell very well, 40, 50, 60 crore rupee apartments, they sell very well in large numbers. Likewise, in Gurgaon, we have seen is that the market has really emerged for the luxury segment. Is that we don't yet see in many other cities, including Hyderabad. We've not seen that kind of propensity to buy luxury in terms of the apartment values.
So we have seen big realty companies have already entered into Hyderabad. And which are the new names entering into the city, and what's the reasons for these companies to look at Hyderabad?
There are a number of Indian developers across the board who are really wanting to come into Hyderabad. Previously, as you rightly said, it was the southern-based companies, Bangalore-based companies. So, it was more Purvankara, Prestige, Brigade, or Shobha. Many of these were the ones who were really showing in because these were big boys from Bangalore who were wanting to come into and set a base in Hyderabad. Today, we are seeing a lot of the Bombay developers wanting to come into Hyderabad. So whether it is Raheja's, whether it is Godrej, whether it is the exploration that we see from corporates like the Lodhas who are wanting to explore Hyderabad as an opportunity. It is a very international market. It's also a very deep market. It's also a market which has sustained demand.
Sir, due to ineffectiveness of TS Rera, there are a lot of pre-launch sales happening in Hyderabad. So do you find any such trend in other cities? And how we can put to an end to this illegal sales?
So I'm a big supporter of Rera. I tell you, Rera is really, really cleaned out. There was a lot of mistakes that were being made in real estate by, some of the players in the real estate fraternity. And I think is the way Rera has flushed them out. In states where Rera is a little bit more mature, more advanced, came in perhaps earlier as well, for example, Maharashtra, there you see that Rera has really been able to bring in transparency, has also helped the market grow because the home buyer has had a lot more confidence, in those markets, given the way the authorities have really worked in the more mature markets where Rera has been implemented for some time now. In some of the other markets where Rera is now picking up momentum and we are finding the right leadership taking up Rera, we're starting to see is the progress in those. Clearly, anything which does not have Rera approval should not be marketed. And if it is even marketed, then it has to be prosecuted. because that is how you're going to be able to bring in self-discipline within the stakeholders, and you're going to be bringing in the confidence from the home buyer. So my thought is that if anybody is doing it, any sort of stakeholders are launching projects without Rera approval, I think the authorities should be very strict to be able to make sure that they flush it out, and that there is no such event or episodes where you then have a faltering developer who did not go through the Rera but sold it to a discerning home buyer, and then the home buyer got caught out. I think majority of the stakeholders, majority of the players will really just want to do with Rera. All the larger players, all the listed players, all the leading unlisted players will not launch anything which does not have the Rera approval. Just like in a classroom, there will be one or two students who are going to be indisciplined. I'm sure there will be one or two developers who will do masti and who would launch without the Rera. But as I said, I think the authorities need to be extremely strict to not allow such processes.
Sir, there are a lot of commercial and residential activities going on in Hyderabad. So here my question is, how do you visualize Hyderabad after 5 years from now?
If you were to look at Hyderabad really at night, it looks like New York skyline. The skyscrapers that you see, the cranes that you see, the lights you see, the beautiful buildings, the facade of the buildings, the occupier profile in these buildings. I mean, it does look like, you are in Manhattan, the way, the city center in Hyderabad has really emerged. Clearly, 5 years from today, this will truly become a much more international, acceptable city. Look at the quality of infrastructure that you have, the quality of manpower that you have, the quality of real estate that is there. And still, I would say, is a lot more affordable compared to many other cities in India. I'm a big fan of this city. I do feel is that in the next 5 years, this city will continue to grow and will continue to gain even more momentum.
So finally, our Paulomi real estate guru viewers wants to hear about your Anarock company. Can you brief us about your Anarock, please?
So, it is a new age real estate services company that we set it up. We are largely focused on residential sales through technology and digital. We sell about 21,000 homes every year across India. We have other facets that help the real estate sector, which includes our capital markets to help raise debt and equity for the developers, to do land acquisition for the developers, to be able to help them value that land, do best land use feasibility, and then to be able to help them if they are doing retail malls or hotels or offices, to be able to find the end user, the buyers or the lessees for those asset classes. Hyderabad has been, as I said, has been a special market for us. We do a lot of work here on the residential sales side. We have brought in our innovative PropTech solutions in Hyderabad. It is also a market which is very versatile on the industrial warehousing, logistics side, and clearly a market on the office leasing side which continues to roar.
Thanks a lot for sharing in-depth analysis on current realty market scenario in India as well as Hyderabad, sir. Thanks a lot for your valuable time. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.